Good evening. My name is Lou Vince. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough tonight. In my research into how law enforcement can better work with the community it serves, I came across a quote by J. Edgar Hoover that really hit home for me. And that was that no amount of law enforcement can solve a problem that goes back to the family. I have lived this quote. My wife and I adopted 2 children through the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services because we know that children need strong guidance and support to be successful. We have 4 children total, ages 4, 5, 7, and 9. The 3 eldest are boys and the youngest is a girl. But why am I telling you that? I'm telling you that because I know that Los Angeles County, specifically the LA County Sheriff's Department, needs a stronger focus on the welfare of all of our children. And really, that's the only way we're going to be able to reduce crime in the long run. A few background facts about me. I'm a native Californian, born in the San Francisco area. When I was young, my parents relocated to the East Coast, where I grew up. During my service in the Marine Corps, I found myself stationed back in California, and that's when I decided to stay and build my life here. I know that education is important and a must for law enforcement. I earned my bachelor's degree in law enforcement and justice administration and my master's degree in criminology, law, and society. I want to see the educational requirements for the hiring standards at the Sheriff's Department increased to at least an associate's degree and probably a 4-year degree for promotion. I also graduated from the Sherman Block Supervisory Leadership Institute as well as the West Point Leadership Program. In my nearly 20-year career, I provided oversight to many complex operations. I've worked as a field training officer, a sergeant, a detective, and a senior detective supervisor. Held a wide variety of assignments, including narcotics, gangs, and internal affairs. And here's where I have to do a little disclaimer. We're in an LAPD house right now. I'm an LAPD officer. Anything I say tonight is not coming from the LAPD. It's coming from me. I've been warned since we're here. But I did spend, see all the people in the back laughing. I did spend 4 years with the Sheriff's Department as a reserve deputy, where I earned $1 a year. That $4 gave me a unique insight into the operations of the largest Sheriff's Department in the United States. And the largest Sheriff's Department in the United States, as you've heard here tonight, has some huge problems. We've got to implement effective solutions to make sure that everyone feels safe in their homes and communities. We've got to implement effective solutions to our overburdened and all too often too violent jail system. And finally, the thing I hear most about on the campaign trail is we need to reform that organization and bring it into the 21st century. The office of the sheriff or his executive level staff can't turn a blind eye to the actions of those under their command. And responsibility from the top down needs to be accepted for any failure that happens. We need a sheriff that sets clear expectations and exercises responsible management practices to make sure that those expectations are being met. When I'm your sheriff, I can assure you that the men and women of the Sheriff's Department will be known for community policing and innovation, not for misconduct. So, I'm asking you to ask me any questions you have, and I'm guessing they're all going to be about guns. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
I'm a former foster mother, and so I know what my experience was, and I know how broken DCFS and CPS is out here, and the hell that those girls went through and that our family went through as a result. So when you say that the answer is the children, I'm with you, but how would you be able to impact that in this position personally? How would you be able to attack that?
Well, I see incarceration for minor offenses such as purely being addicted to a drug as a problem. I don't want to see the war on drugs continue because it's become a war on families, and we continue a cycle that keeps kids away from their parents, and it continues into the foster care system. So I'd use the Office of the Sheriff as a bully pulpit to stop that and redirect those people. Even though we have Prop 36 in diversion, in practice, they come to the LA County jails. Secondly, I'd want to get the community programs, the nonprofits into the jails. Day one, person comes into the jail, they're working with someone that has a child, they'll be identified, to make sure that they can get back to their family. I don't want to see the mother sent out to Mira Loma in Lancaster, where the kids can't come visit their parents. I've been on the streets for a long time, and I know that thing that turns people, straight's the wrong word, but gets them back on track is their families. So they need to be able to have access to their families, and there needs to be improved visitation and counseled visits, if you will.
Being with the LAPD, will you carry with you to the Sheriff's Department the LAPD bias against issuing concealed weapons permits?
Without acknowledging the question being true or not true, the concealed carry permits are an ethical dilemma for me. I don't think we need more guns on the streets. However, I think we need to follow the law. So I'm a common sense person. which is that I will follow the law and issue concealed carry permits. Guns.
It's not about guns, it's about some of the circumstances that have happened to people from the sheriff's department. Kelly Thomas down in Fullerton, the guy in New Mexico. So how are you going to address the use of escalating force against the citizens?
The question was, how am I going to address the use of escalating force against the citizens? I don't know if there's escalating force. I do know that there has been a lot of incidences recently, so I agree with you there. The most important thing is training. When I'm the sheriff, I want to see the dual-track career path implemented. I don't want deputies coming out of the academy and going to the jails for 6 years. I want them to go on the streets, make sure they can cut it on the streets, learn that they're interacting with their families mostly, people like their families mostly, their sisters or brothers or cousins, before they go into the jail and get indoctrinated into that culture or that mindset of, everybody may be a crook. So that's one way I'm going to impact that, training. Okay, yes ma'am.
My name is Jeanette Chavez. My daughter was murdered January 26, 2008 in the unincorporated area of Monrovia. How are you going to handle the gangs in the community?
Well, I'm sorry.
And as an activist and advocate for victims' rights.
I'm sorry for your loss. How am I going to handle gangs? I've been dealing with gangs most of my career, and I've been there where all I thought we could do was arrest everybody, put them in jail. That just caused more problems. Put them in the jail system where they were able to actively engage in their criminal behavior. I want to see intervention. I want to see community policing. I want to see mentorship, and I want to see, the sheriff's department to work as a matchmaker, if you will, to match up people that they identify as having needs, whether they're young men or women that are likely to get in gangs, and marry them up with the support programs that are there to help them, as well as like the police activity league and sports programs and alternatives. Like we have Friday Night Lights in the city of Los Angeles, where at-risk youth can go to parks and sports complexes and stay out of trouble.
What about the ones that murder?
What's that?
The ones that murder.
Well, then we're going to arrest them and prosecute them and put them in prison.
So do you have a gang task force in mind, or?
When we get the nuts and bolts of how I'm going to handle gangs in Monrovia?
No, I'm talking about LA County.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of the
I'm not
mothers
understanding.
that launched LA County Regional Crime Stoppers.
Okay.
So I'm just talking about in general the whole county.
Okay, you helped us, LA Crime Stoppers?
I did.
Great job. All kinds of clues, all kinds of crimes get solved through that. That's a good system. Regionally, we need to get back to community policing. That's what I want to see. I want to hold deputies accountable for being in the community, for getting involved with youth, getting involved with organizations that provide services to the youth, and making sure that we do something. I'm about intervention and prevention. Sure, there's going to be a time when we have to do enforcement. That's going to come. But when we do that, I want to know that we've done everything we can do so that when the jail doors get closed, we've tried to keep the person on the outside. Unfortunately, there may have to be some that go on the inside. Yes, sir.
I hear your position on the drug issue. I've counseled a lot of kids all the way down to 11 years old about using drugs and even being subjected to shooting heroin up at 11 years old. I disagree. War on drugs is not a war on families. Drugs is a war on families. I would like to know, if you want to be soft-handed on the addict, how heavy-handed are you going to be on the dealer who's actually dealing the drugs to the kids, dealing the drugs to the individuals who are destroying our communities, destroying our families, because they're profiting off of this. So I understand the addiction part, and I would love to see more programs in the essence of giving drug courts more funding so they can actually, how would you say, rehabilitate the addict. But on the other side of it, you have people making a crud load of money on dealing drugs, and especially this new one that's coming out, the alligator heroin that's here. What are you going to do about that with the drug dealers? How heavy-handed are you going to be?
Well, to be clear, I'm talking about decriminalizing addiction and keeping those people out of the criminal justice system. People that sell drugs, transport drugs, organize criminal enterprises from multiple countries, yes, that's still going to have enforcement, the same enforcement it always has. I'm not talking about being soft on crime. I heard the word soft in there. I'm talking about being smart on crime. We've had the drug war for how many years now? And we're still having it. So we need to try some alternatives. Just like with the sheriff's department. We've had 4 sheriffs in 82 years. It's time to try something different because it hasn't been working. Yes, sir.
Sir, how do you feel about the department's position on overtime and carping to reassign deputies to avoid overtime?
Carping is cadre administrative reserve personnel. It's basically a shell game with deputies so that you can put people out, take them from their other job as a detective or some other function to go out on patrol. I don't support robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like I said, there's only been 4 sheriffs in 82 years. We need a forensic audit of the personnel and the accounting and the budget to find out where the fat can be trimmed and where we can make some efficiencies so that that can be covered. Because I don't know who we're fooling here. If someone gets pulled out of their job and put them in patrol, let's face it, they're still doing their other job, and that other deputy is left hanging. So we need to fix that. Yes, sir.
Last question.
It's a part question and statement. I know if I work for somebody and I screw up,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna lose my job if I screw up bad enough. Yet in the sheriff's department, if a sheriff officer screws up, they don't lose their job. They might be put on administrative leave, but they're getting paid. So there's no risk and reward for that, because they're still getting their full pay. What can be done about that?
Excuse me. Me personally, and this is going to sound callous, but I don't mean it to sound callous, I'm a fix 'em or fire 'em person. I don't believe in these 10 suspension days, then 20 suspension days, then 30 suspension days. Hey, you screwed up, you're going to get some retraining, you admit that you made a mistake, okay, we're good, and it doesn't happen again. It keeps happening, or it's an act of serious misconduct, you're terminated.
Thank you very much, Lou. Thank